All right, welcome everybody to a Board of Selectmen budget meeting for January 30th, 2023. Call the meeting to order. We've got a full board present. Let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Joe, any adjustments to the agenda?
None, Madam Chair.
All right, we'll move on to number 3, and that's the initial presentation of fiscal year 23-24 annual budget.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So one housekeeping item, the camera is not working. I couldn't get it to work this morning. I tried it in my last meeting. I still can't get it to work. So for those listening, the camera's not working.
Okay.
Put that out there. Second item, my intent is to go through the highlights of the operating budget with you. I don't intend to go line by line. I'm just going to tell you what's up, what's down in each category, give you an overview. So if you're ready, I'll begin.
All right.
Okay, yeah, in select board.
What's that?
Do we have an overview sheet to follow on?
I'm not
Or
seeing
we're
it.
just going to jump?
Ethna asked if there was an overview sheet to
So
follow.
what I'm gonna do is give the board the account.
Okay.
You can see which one I'm talking about.
Okay.
And then we'll go through that way. So 01, 01, 05, 08, and select board, that's HRA. We've exhausted the fund balance, so we need to increase it. 4,000. 3528 is an increase in consultant services. We have a new agreement with our union consultant, our labor relations consultant, for the second bargaining unit. That's an increase of 6250. Small decrease in 3530. So HRA on the top, the first one I talked about is where we reimburse employees for expenses that they had, up to $3,400 per family plan, $1,700 per single. 3530 is what we pay per employee for that third-party company to manage the service for us. So there's a decrease there of $300. We don't have as many employees in the system. Those are the changes from last year in the select board. Take any questions, or if you want to reserve questions from the next meeting, however the board would prefer.
Yeah, Mark?
I'm just wondering if there was a spare sheet that I could follow along as well with. But if there's not, that's okay. It seems like you're going to go through the whole book and not just a single highlight sheet. Is that correct?
Yes.
So you've got multiple pages to go through now.
Yeah, we're going to go through the whole operating budget. I'm going to highlight what's different from last year. I can get you a copy of this after the meeting. Okay, administration.
Sorry, what did you say?
Administration is the
Okay.
next category.
Sorry.
No problem.
Page 4.
Page 4, and this is where I'll let everybody know that, well, everybody in the room knows, I'm sure by now, that we have negotiations going on. We also have policy work that we're working on. So there's a negotiations team working on bargaining, collective bargaining, and there's a policy team working on the wage policy update. So in 0101, this is the first place we come into it where there's a salary. Rather than put in this year's and confuse anybody that that's what I'm recommending for now, just for now, that plugged in 0. That's obviously not what it's going to be. And that'll be a recurring theme throughout. I don't want to spend a lot of time on those until we know what the numbers are going to be. That being said, health insurance, there's an increase there, which is 10%. Across the board, pretty much $1,330.
In regards to the health insurance, is that just an estimate on what you think it's going to be? Because I can tell you that we had a significant increase this year.
So what we do is we'll take what it is for this year, it expires December.
Yeah.
And then we'll take for 6 months for what it actually is, and then we'll take another 6 months, multiply that by 10%, and have that for the second 6 months. So there's a 10% increase on the second 6 months. It's just an estimate. We don't know what it is, but we try to go with the 10%.
Okay.
And they adjust per calendar year, is that, okay, so you don't have that adjustment yet, even though we're in 2023?
This is what the estimate is for the next fiscal year. So we have what it is currently, which would be the first 6 months of the next
Right.
fiscal year. Second 6
Figures.
months, I took this amount and multiplied it by 10%. That's how I do it every year.
And so there's a new line in this section. It's 0103. Tracy and I have talked for the last couple of years about the value that we could add by having an intern, a management intern. It wouldn't necessarily be somebody that was in the office with she and I all day, every day. There are some places due to my working with committees and so forth that I think an intern would be helpful, and it would be helpful to expose somebody interested in the profession to a dynamic town such as Rangeley. Some examples are the Economic Opportunity Committee. They mentioned an intern would be useful for some of the projects they're working on. I know the cemetery project would be a good project for an intern. And it, they could probably help with some grants here and there too. There is a program or seminar, actually, webinar that's put out by MMA. Jay Filer from Union has been the kind of the spearhead of the program, the intern program, for a number of years. Tracy and I recorded that. We were planning to go to it. We had a meeting come up last week, so we're going to get the details on that. But I've plugged in $10,000 an intern here. For this fiscal year. Now, this could be summer, it could be, I don't have those details yet. Could be for the summer, could be for our fall term. I'd like to explore that and see if that's something we could incorporate. So that's a new line. 0502 I talked about. 0505 decrease in workers' comp of 155. That has a lot to do with our program, our involvement with the workers' compensation safety incentive program.
And that's across the board, every department had it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's some of the benefits of Chief Bacon and other staff participating in that program. And of course, for supporting it. 0511 increase in dental of 950. Decrease in training costs in 1002. And that I just looked at historically. There's one there for us to look at. Decrease that a bit.
There's no time,
Yeah, no tunnel.
there's no
There's
10:02.
no line for it, but it says above 03.
It goes from 10:01 at the bottom of page 4 to 10:03 at the top of page 5.
Sorry about that.
It must be good cut off.
Sorry about that.
I'll make a note of that.
Yep, 1003. That's down to
Okay, you said 10:02 was increase,
decrease of 500. Yeah, it just cut off. All right, 1003. Use the subscription, that's an increase. 50. 1004 is an increased meals and lodging. What I'd like to do here is offer periodically when I do trainings or workshops with staff, I'd like to be able to give them some lunch or refreshments or something like that. It's a $500 increase in that line. 1502 shows a decrease. I believe that's the one, yeah. That one shows a decrease of 1,500. Tracy's getting a new desktop in this current fiscal year, so we can take that out. I got one 2 years ago. So there's a decrease there. A slight increase in MMA dues. That's based on a $500 contribution, expected contribution to the Service Center Coalition. You'll see that on the 6th. I'll be requesting to sign up for that.
3511 increase.
Just by $100. That's administration. In assessing, I've been, I think, reluctant to propose this, but I don't know why. If you look at stipends, we've raised $675 for the past few years and never spent any of it. For the Board of Assessment Review, I think our assessors, our single assessors handle most of those things. They don't end up having the need for that board to meet. I think we could remove that stipend and save that money on the odd chance that you needed that board to meet. I'm sure we can find a few $100 to make that happen. So I'm requesting, recommending we make that 0. Of course, 0501 5-year would be decreased to related to that. Decrease of telephone 2001. Just because it's just we're not going to spend the whole $700, so it doesn't make sense to raise that again next year. So that's a decrease of 300. There is an increase in the assessing contract, per the 3-year contract that you approved. The increase this year, I believe it's 150. 504. It's actually 1,500. It's 15. And then there's a decrease in software, 3509. So it's a decrease of 153, I think. That's assessing. Next, we go to finance. 0502. Increase in health insurance. Employee in that position had not been taking it. I think that there's a chance that the person in that position will be taking that, and I fill you in more on the 6th. It's 0502. 0505. Another decrease in workers' comp. As Rebecca said, that'll be something that's a common theme. Increase in computer supplies in 1502.
Your supplies.
I think that's 1502. Oh, that's training costs.
1502 increase 200 is that what you?
1502.
1502.
Your supplies.
Yeah.
Page 11.
1504 increase in postage. The rates have increased, so we've increased it by 500 in 1504. As you can see, that's where the bulk of postage comes from. 3501, there's an increase here for the fixed assets review from the audit. From the audit, $250 increase.
So can I add something?
Yeah.
So I didn't add it. This was, I was doing the sheet today. I didn't add it in. I thought in our contract with them that the fixed asset was included and it's not. So I need to add $250 to cover the fixed assets.
How much was it, Rebecca?
And it would change the 9,500 to 9,750.
750.
Last item in finance is an item that's been moved from, I believe it used to live in the town office building account. It's the time clock software. That's an increase here of 2190, but it'll be a wash on the other end. So it's just moving where it's housed. That wraps up finance. We now go to planning. We have a vacancy, as you know, in code enforcement, so we're budgeting for an increased family plan insurance, 25,670, and it's a 502. Yep. Again, another marginal decrease in workers' comp is $20, so it's still a decrease. Increase for vision in 0509, increase of 530. 955 for adding dental in 0511. Increase the mileage reimbursement, new employee will need to go to trainings, an increase of 300 there. That's it, it's 1001, I believe. Yep. Decrease in computer supplies, 1502. As you can see, historically, that hasn't been spent much, so we're going to drop it down. 1518, decrease E911. We're going to place a large order for those placards this year, the year we're in. Decrease that by 500, which is 1518. Decrease in software at 3509. This is another item, Madam Chair, that I am working on. Negotiating with iWork. So I'll give you a little background on this one. Tom, the former CEO, was supported iWork, and the town actually went through and started to get going on that CEO. Migrated out. We had a different program we were looking at, kind of bringing in for code enforcement, which was the GIS program we're using for cemetery and sewer department. Carl and I reviewed that program. We've also reviewed the Trio module that they offer for code enforcement, and our plan is to go back to iWork. We really like that. It's interactive. We have a proposal that this is based on. Rebecca used the number that we had given her, but I'm still working on a couple of things with them by the due date tomorrow. One of which is I'd like to have in-house storage. That's an extra cost. It all goes to the cloud under the proposal they gave us. So in-house storage would make me feel a little bit better as a redundancy. One other item I can't think of right now, but it could be closer to 4,000. So we'll, depending on what happens with that, the next couple of days, we'll update that number. So for now, I probably should plug 4,000 into that.
3509.
Correct. Yeah. I'm sorry that wasn't in there, but that literally was something I was working on today. It's still a decrease, Madam from here. Small increase in ABCOG dues. Everybody got one. All of them accounts. Decrease in consultant services. This is one an RFP for planning help that hasn't left my desk yet. It's there, but it's not, hasn't been released. My thought is when it is released, it should have enough residual value in this year. We can get a lot done and then lower it by 5,000 for next year. In case you're wondering what that would be for. Any specialty things to do with comp plan, any form-based code that ABCOG can help us with, or any significant planning review. So if the planning board gets a large subdivision application or something like that, so these services would help us with that. That's 35. So $5,000 decrease from this year. That wraps up planning. Next is the town office. Decrease, so at 1505, we find that. Decrease in building supplies of 300. Really, it's just based on history. Decrease in diesel. This shouldn't have been in the town office budget. Somehow it got in there. I think it was originally for the big generator out back, but we've straightened that out. That now comes up for safety. This is an interesting one, 2002. A couple of things going on here. Number one, the biggest thing is a year or so ago, we had something happened with the underground feed to the town office. One morning they came here, things were going haywire, running on one leg. Wes came over and Keith, and they figured it out that the underground had a defect on the parking lot. So what we ended up doing was abandoning that and feeding it to the back of the building here. So the only meter on this complex is now out here. And it feeds the whole facility. What that means from a budgeting standpoint is basically the whole operation is gonna come from the fire department side. Or public safety building, I should say. The other thing that's going on is our solar credits have brought this down. So a couple of things to report there. But that's why there's a decrease here, 20.02, because it technically is coming out of that meter. 2005 increase, small increase there for heating fuel. Rebecca went through and kind of did an internal audit of what we've done with heating fuel and diesel in the last few years, updated these numbers for us. So there's an increase of 115, 2006, that's the rate increase. That's 800. Increase in sewer of $20 at 2007. Decrease in R&M of buildings of 10,000, so that's 2501 is down 10,000. What we were able to complete in this fiscal year was the railing out front, but there's still some facade work that Tracy and I want to accomplish with the stones. Concrete blocks there, so the remaining funds in this year, we should be able to wrap that project up and have it looking back the way we want it. We shouldn't need that money again next year, so the 10,000. Take it out.
So did we have the railing funds that were the year before? Did we carry that forward or we just put it in general funds?
So, Madam Chair, the year before, whatever was in there for railings, I believe was spent. I don't think it was enough to cover that project, which is why we put the $15,000 in this operating budget to cover that. We did have, here's another good thing. Tracy applied for the MMA grant. I think that's at the end of the one, or it's the other one. The MMA grant that covered 50% of the railing itself. So it's a $6,000 railing project. The town got a check for $3,000 for MMA. So we have $12,000 to work on the facade out there this year. So I'm hopeful that we can wrap that up. But to answer the question, Madam Chair, that I don't believe there are any funds carried forward from previous fiscal year to this fiscal year for the railing. I don't think there were enough in the first place to do the project. Remember that? 3509, decrease in software. Of $1,100. 3513. There has been an increase there of 434. Next, public safety building. Health insurance increase at 0502. In the right place.
Public safety.
Public safety bill, sorry about that. So increase in heating fuel. Yep, 2005. Increase in heating fuel of 9,420. We have used $4.50 a gallon as a kind of baseline for each heating fuel location. Then the estimated gallons is 4,315, so that brings it up 9420. I think last year we were estimating it to be 366 or something like that.
Yeah.
It's a different number. 2006 is water rate increase. And then in 4706, decrease in the interest on the bond. 1942. Now is town clerk. 505. Stock is down to 15. Increase in dues and subscriptions at 1003. It's 20, it's an increase there of 20. 1003. 1004 decrease in meals and lodging of $100. 1503 increase in election supplies of 250. 1504 increase in postage due to rate increase of $100. 503 decrease in the cost to produce the town report of $100. Increase in trio fees at 3509 of $74. Property casualty, so 10% increase in the actual cost. Discussed that a while ago. Page 25 is TIF.
So can I just, sorry, ask a question about the insurance? Is the fire department's insurance included in this?
I'm
For
sorry,
their, is the fire department equipment and everything? included?
everything is included in that.
Okay, so how do we separate that out for the plantations to contribute?
They have, oh, I guess we don't.
Well, the plantation,
We don't,
I've included in the formula.
not this, not property casualty.
This is what we raise money for on this end.
So we'll need to figure that out. Yeah, so we've got county, we've got plantations and township, yeah, all contributing.
We'll take a look at that, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
It's a nice catch.
Yeah. All right.
Ready for tax increment financing?
Sure.
We made some reductions in this year's proposal. Training costs down to 500. The audit, we originally thought that we'd have to have a separate line for TIF audit. It's included, and we also don't have any projects to look at right now. And then 3601 decrease in advertising. It's down by 1,000. When I met, just as a sidebar, when I met with the RREOC, not this morning, but I think last week, their last meeting, I asked if they had any recommendations for you folks in terms of projects that you might consider out of the TIF project account, which has somewhere over 60,000 in it. They were of the mindset that maybe it's a good idea to kind of bank that, continue to bank it. So I just wanted to share that sentiment with you. They won't show up in this budget, but it's just something I wanted to kind of share. So in the overall, here on this page, we're down 4,000. I do recommend leaving the 10,000 there for a listen. It doesn't take long to go through that, but it's very valuable advice. That's a tip. Now we're at the public safety Increase in health insurance, 945. Increase in meals and lodging of 500. It's something that we've been going over with a little bit. Office supplies at 250.
Yeah, if you could identify the line first,
Yep,
because
sorry.
we've got a newbie over
That's
here.
Sorry about that.
Thank you.
Where was the meals?
050,
Page 28.
Page 28.
that was 1004. $1501 is office supplies, that's up 250. 1508 is diesel fuel. Reflects unit price increases and then volume of calls increases. 1528 is gasoline. And that is up due to, again, unit pricing and number of calls. It's up by 2,600. 2005 is a recurring theme, it's heating fuel. It's an increase of 5,845. 2503 vehicles. This is also somewhat kind of common theme. We have it here, we'll have it again when we get to the highway. Really has to do with the increased cost of materials, supplies to fix vehicles. So it's a $5,000 increase here, 2503. SCBA, which is self-contained breathing apparatus, at 2524. It's an increase of 500. And then software at 3509. It's an increase of 3,300. That's emergency reporting software. Next is police department.
Yeah, sure.
Under, isn't this where we're supposed to see the payment for the new fire truck?
No. It was agreed to be paid out of the reserve.
Yeah, we were planning to pay it from reserve funds. We can discuss placing it here if you'd like. My thought was to use the reserve funds, at least for this year's payment. But we can make a note, come back to it if you'd like. We can insert it in there if the board would like for your next meeting.
Well, if it doesn't need to be raised, it shouldn't be in this section.
But if they're gonna put it in for next year, the payment should be included in the budget line, should say 0. So you anticipate what the payment's gonna be.
Oh, do you, so you want to see just a reflection that
The
the
reflection that the payment is in there. And if we're taking it from reserve, so does that mean, how does that apply for the plantations and stuff?
The truck payment will be reflected in there in the spreadsheet, how we calculate it. That'll be a separate fund.
Was that your concern, Shelley, was the fact that because it was absent from this section, it wouldn't be factored in?
Right.
Okay.
And don't we have to get permission? How does that? So we have to have 2 sets of numbers, right? So if we're asking to take it from the reserve, it goes on the ballot as asking to take it from the reserves.
No, you guys
No,
are,
we authorize reserves.
Okay.
Board of Selectmen authorize reserves expenditures by vote, which I would assume we've already done if we didn't put it in here. Have we not already voted on that?
The board, yeah, there's a recurring article on the town meeting warrant that gives the board.
Right, but had we already voted that this year's payment would come out of the reserve? Is that why you didn't put it in the budget?
Correct. Well, we discussed it a year ago that reserve funds would be, when the question came, how would we make the payments on the truck? Reserve funds was the answer to that.
Okay, so we have not yet made that vote that it would come out of reserve funds, so technically it should have been in this budget for this purpose of discussing it.
And
If the
then,
vote
and
hasn't been
then
made.
the final one would show it being
Yes.
removed. Can we add that for next time? And then-
Any other questions on fire rescue?
I have a question, but it's not on fire rescue.
So I'm good with fire. Did you have another question on fire rescue?
Ready?
I was just gonna ask, if I could interrupt to ask Joe a question here, because I need to leave. And
Oh,
I
yeah, oh yeah,
wouldn't-
sorry.
I wouldn't be able to.
I thought you were just gonna wait until later. No, it's
I wasn't
okay.
gonna be available at the end of the meeting to get any materials for him. So I was gonna ask if it would be all right if I came to see you tomorrow.
Sure.
Yeah, like 10 o'clock or something like that.
9 o'clock would be better. I have a meeting at 10.
Okay, all right, very good.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow. Okay, next is public safety police department, page 34. Oh, 0102, increase of 10,400. Contract, that's what's in the current contract. I will make a note that in 0101 salary above the chief, the 2024 initial is the chief's input, manager input, consistent. Waiting for the results of negotiations and policy. But I do know the chief has some concerns about. 0103. Decrease in part-time wages. This I support fully. Instead of having more hours, quantity-wise, we would increase the hourly rate. Now, remember, this is a per diem, or we call him reserve officer, that doesn't have main purse with us or health insurance or any of that stuff. We're proposing a $30 per hour rate for those folks. See if we can attract them for special events. But overall, the amount is going from budgeted 8,000 to a budgeted 6,600. Workers' comp decrease, here's a significant one. 20, that's at section 0505. Sub-account, I should say, 0505. Next, we go to 1502, which is on page 36. Increase in computer supplies of 100. 1509 is increase in safety supplies. That's on page 37. $200, and then 3509, which is on page 38, decrease of 5,500. And we're able to recommend this because we just paid our IMC through the end of 24. So. And there is some dividend or some balance left in that account, $1,000 left in there in case there's anything the chief needs to do to make sure he can communicate with that on our end. So, I'm trying to still balance, not balance, some remaining funds of the 65. That's police. Next we go to public safety animal control, 39,0105. I'm proposing a stipend increase of $300 per year. Of course, there's a FICA increase at 0505 associated with that, same as workers' comp at 0505. That's one of the few places there's an increase. And then the animal shelter is looking for an increase of $245. At sub account 3507 on page 40. Next is EMS on page 41. There is an increase of over $20,000 in our account, and that's everybody's getting an increase in North Star this year. And the town is paying more towards the service. We're not the highest. Our pass is paying a little more of an increase than we are. I have invited Mike Senecal to meet with you, explain that in a little more detail at a future meeting.
I just have a question. Do they include the fact that they don't charge for dispatching services and the towns are all picking that up?
Don't know, we have to ask Mike about that. That's never come up in a meeting I've been in. And they take into account distance.
Well, the theory is that they would just increase for all the towns if they had to pay for dispatching services. So it's quite interesting.
So is it your thought that they,
That
Have
it's
included
free to them. I'm just like with their large increase. That they don't pay for a service that we do pay for. And I don't know if they consider that.
good question for Mike?
Yeah, the increase, so the formula is based on valuation, residential valuation, which Raymond is second in the county. There is a distance factor. So further you are away from the hospital, the way you pay. But yeah, we've had a significant increase in valuation, state valuation, which had a lot to do with this. And then there are other things in the budget that have changed on North Star's end in terms of recruitment and retention, compensating their staff. So that's, I'm not saying that's the whole 20,000. A lot of it is the state valuation. That's the biggest part of that formula. So
And they take out for the tip part, right? Or do they do the whole?
I don't think so, but I have to double check on that.
When was the last time we adjusted their rent?
Since I've been here a year or so ago, it went up to market rates. It was
Did they ever take into account, I was unaware of how, so I was with a law enforcement officer while he was in uniform and whatnot. And, something came over his radio to move 6-1 or 6-0 down to Phillips. So and he says, I'm so sick of hearing this happen. So that means Rangeley doesn't have coverage and they've taken them down to Phillips for whatever reason. I'm figuring this isn't taken into consideration. It's, but it was frustrating for this law enforcement officer to hear it over the radio. He says yet again. So a question for Mike, I guess, just.
He'd be happy to answer that. hydrants on page 42, been a rate increase there, the overall increase in 3516 is $12,034. Next is health officer on page 43. There's an increase there in the compensation, 560. Then an associated FICA at line 0501. So it's about $100, $96.
So where is the stipend increases coming from? Like what calculation is it based on?
So what I've done, in this case, I took a recommendation of fire chief who works with the health officer. And made it kind of line up with the ACO that we talked about a little while ago. So it's COLA plus 3%. With ACO, and then in this case, it's COLA 3%, and then a suggestion of the fire chief. He was higher than that, and we talked about it. I said, let's see.
So how is the stipends different from the salary part? I guess is what I'm- Usually a stipend is a certain dollar amount because and it doesn't go with like increases of pay each year typically, unless you overall look at everyone's stipends and then do an overall increase on stipends, because it's my understanding they're not handled the same way as someone's regular pay.
These are paid out hourly. These couple of positions.
Yes, so they are, the health officer, when we created it, was set up because they are paid per week. And then the animal control was always set up under stipend, it just was never changed from stipend to wages. But they get paid on a weekly basis, they have to get paid on a weekly basis.
Can I ask why? I don't get that
I don't remember specifically, I just know the phone call.
because we don't get paid on a weekly basis. So what, I don't know, I guess I don't understand what the difference is.
I don't understand either. I didn't understand last year.
Board members don't have to get paid on a weekly basis, it was these positions that,
Because
I don't remember specifically why, but I remember the phone call.
well, I just remember the health officer was always, there was never a stipend assigned to it. So
Right.
when Dr. Oldham had the health officer responsibility, there was never a stipend until you know, this came along again, you know, it was COVID, et cetera. So it just has been confusing, I guess, for me as well. Yeah.
So, and also in regards to the, speaking of COVID, did we ever straighten that out for the dollar amount, which for some reason the health officer came under the fire department that one year? Did we reimburse the plantations for that?
Citations were charged for the health officer.
Yeah, I don't think they were charged for it.
I thought we discovered in the budget process that they were charged for it because it came underneath a grant that the chief got.
I would have to look it up, but I don't think they were, I think it was taken
Okay.
out.
All right.
Yeah, so I guess we're just looking for some clarification on the wages, you know, and you know, the fact that it's wages and just help
It
us.
has to be wages. It has to be paid out weekly.
I guess we're asking why.
We'll get you some clarification.
Thank you.
It just seems like,
I just don't remember, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
right,
No, yeah, so just.
but it
if
seems
we
like
could
such a
get
small amount.
reclarification of
It's,
why.
yeah.
We'll get that for you.
Is it worth putting a check, I guess? Well,
Okay, ready for highway?
Sure.
Okay. 0102, there's one position in there that is not complete. There's negotiations going on. So it affects that line, and then FICA also. Line 0502, there's a health insurance decrease. There's a person that had an MMA health trust is now Allegiant Care. That's a decrease of 1,450.
Question. Is it decreased because there's someone's salary missing from it? Is that why the decrease is, or is it actually a decrease?
There's actually a decrease.
Isn't the insurance based on the person's salary too? Percentage of their.
No, it's a flat rate. 0504 is IPP, that's not complete. Negotiations ongoing. 0505 workers' comp, decrease of 900. 0509 removal of vision due to change for one employee on the union, that's a decrease of $80. 0511 removal of dental due to a change in union employee, that's a decrease of $955. 1504 45. We decreased the postage just based on trends. It's down $40. Here's what I was talking about earlier at 1507. There's an increase in operating supplies. We've been creeping over this in recent years, at least last year. Price of things we're expecting to be over again this year, so we'd like to increase it $10,000. Increase in diesel at 1508, increase of $26,000. Equipment rental at 1520, increase of $2,000. That's on page 46. At 1524, this is an item that we did not budget for a couple of years. This is the hearing test. We do have a hearing conservation program that's identified by Safety Works. We had used the free service. Then there was a year where we didn't. And then I tried to get them back last year, made several calls, talked to a couple folks, but could never get anything lined up. So I called industrial hearing, I think it was. They came up with the truck, got it taken care of. So I'm proposing a cost, get that back in the budget, so we can continue our program. 2005 is on page 47. Heat fuel, 3,150 gallons, 450. There's an increase here of 66.75. 2006 water, that's a rate increase, $50. And road loan. Total payments are the same, principal is up, but the interest is down on that. That's 2.1 million. Well, anything you want to add on that, Rebecca?
4605.
What's up?
I was telling Sam which line item it was.
Yeah.
She was making.
Thank you, help me too.
That's highway. Page 50 is sewer department. 0102. This is one department where everything is in place. So there's an increase here of 11,020 in that line. 501 has an increase of 840 in FICA. 502, rate increase for health insurance there, 3603. 0503, there are currently no matches there by the town because everybody is enrolled for main course. So that's a 0. Increase of IPP, 260, that's a 0504. IPP is income protection. And then 0505, there's no decrease on this top except $360. 0512 is main purse, so there's a new item in the budget. Our share is 15,115.
What was that one again? Was that line number?
0512, it's on page 15.
Okay. Yep.
1002, increase in training costs at new leadership paradigm up there, so I want to make sure that we've got good training support. 1504, which is on page 51. We're looking at the fiscal sustainability program. Actually, Jeff Brother and I are going to meet on Wednesday and talk about that again. So we've got some anticipated postage increases, with that program if it takes shape next year. That's at 1504. 1507 is operating supplies, increase there. Common theme. 1508 is diesel, increase of 2310. 1528, which is on page 52. Gas increase of $700. We have a 3-year average here at electricity. Here's the one that looks like it's going up 15,000, 2002. Pump station electricity at 2080. 3 increase there of 6,000. 2005 heating fuel. Increase of 4,064. 2006 is water, that's the rate increase. 3518, which is ahead of pages, I think, 1 page, testing and monitoring. So right now we have PFAS testing happening, and the state's paying for it. They're going to pay for 9 PFAS tests. But once they're done with that, we're going to have to test for it on our dime. So the estimate is an increase of $8,500. $3519 is licensing. That's it's up. We're working on the spray license this year. Spray renewal. $3521. Meter readings, increase of 470. 3601 on page 55. Increase in advertising. 200. Rate hearings for licensing notices, etc. And if you look at 4710 at the very bottom of the page, the John Deere is paid off. Yeah, go ahead.
I found that information. So, an employee is not considered a person who's elected or appointed to a public office. And then Title 26 of the Labor and Industry, Chapter 7, it says that at regular intervals not to exceed 16 days, every employer must pay in full all wages earned by each employee. So because they are considered an employee and they're not on board, that's why they have to get paid.
Not even though they're appointed, they technically aren't.
They're not on a board. If you go back to, it says that they're not considered an employee if they're elected or appointed to a public office,
She is appointed.
She's appointed.
She's appointed.
but it's not. I'm just reading.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, like, I'm wondering if it's
We'll get to
our
some
It's an appointed
interpretation.
position.
That's wrong of why I'm taking all of these extra costs out, but that's, I just want to make sure. Because almost all of our stipends are appointed. We appoint road commissioner. We appoint the health officer. The only one really you don't appoint is the animal control officer. Do we?
It's been the same animal control officer for so long. I think we do affirm that each year at our annual meeting, don't we, Joe?
I think you do.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll get you some more clarification on that.
Thank you.
Thank you for adding that. Any thoughts on the debt interest, Rebecca, there in the sewer department? John Deere's paid off, debt principal is decreased, right? All right, so that's,
Okay, cool.
so that is sewer department.
Okay.
Go ahead, Shelley.
So the sprayer is paid off in October of 2023.
Spray bond.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yes.
Yes. I see that.
So why didn't we consider taking that out of reserve? I guess I'm
As opposed to
confused versus the fire truck. I'm just trying to clarify, because last year I tried to pay off a lot of stuff, and instead of us raising money where we did have money that was left over in reserve, and we were budgeted to be under budget, I was told that I would really mess up the mill rate by that suggestion, and it didn't really happen because it increased. So I just want to make sure it's clear that we get everything that's in front of us, and then to determine those and vote on those discussions later, I guess, is what I just want to point out.
And certainly revisit that and see if.
Yep.
It would be the
Right.
sanitary sewer reserve. Revisit that when we're discussing in more detail.
Okay.
All right.
Solid waste. Page 57. Increase at 0103 part-time wages. We're over a little bit there. They're an integral part of the operation for a place that's open 6.5 days in the summer, 6 in the wintertime. Regular folks take vacation, we need folks to cover. So that's up.
Should that wage line also be corrected or no?
Which line? 0102?
0102.
We're seeing wages on one.
Oh, yeah, that, yeah. Typo.
That's not terrible. The wages?
Yeah, we're missing one.
Oh, it's missing, it's missing.
Yeah, yeah, missing that,
Okay.
yeah.
Right, right. It's not a typo, there's a miss. Sorry about that.
Okay.
It's missing due to negotiations. 0503, decrease in the 457 of 2755. Employees now enrolled in main purse. 0505, decrease in workers' comp, $40. 0511, decrease in dental.
So the main person line is 0, even though that was moved from 450 or reduced in the 457 line.
We can't, I can't figure out until we know a salary.
Okay, so I'm just gonna make a note. Salary. Thanks.
So what's the average of the increase based on the wages? What is the percentage of increase main first? Like, there's gotta be a percentage when you calculate it.
Like, we're calculating 10.3% and it was 6% before. 10.2. It's 10.2, 10.3 is what we're now calculating. It was 6% prior.
Okay.
Uh, 1002, decrease in training costs. 50, 1004, increase in meals and lodging. Increase in diesel at 1508, which is on page 58 of the line. Increase in $1,100 there. 1510 on page 59, uniforms, $100 increase. $1520, increase of $20 in equipment rental. 1523, this is the year that we do windshield stickers. So there's an increase there of 975. 1514. We already went
1524.
Yeah, it's 1524. I mean, that's the same. 2001, increase in telephone. That's Starlink now. That's the increase. Decrease in electricity at 2002.
Quick question. In regards to the cell phones, first responders, who do we have our cell phones through?
Verizon.
Yeah, Verizon.
Verizon? Because AT&T does a first responder. Okay, so the way I understand it is that it trumps over other people's calls. So it's supposed to have better reception, and it's supposed to be like those calls that is received, it's supposed to go through. I just throw that out there because that might be something that they might want, and I know that their goal, they have a contract, I believe, with the federal government to have cell service for every employee, like every police force and all that other stuff. So that's why you're seeing towers go up.
There was an agreement made after 9/11.
Yeah.
That's why they put a wooden pole up at the top of St. Louis, is just to get it to be compliant with a promise they were gonna put something better later.
Right.
Later, which they.
So I'm just saying that I don't know if that might be an option, because where we live so far up in the woods, that might.
That was the reason for the AT&T one going up in Dallas Plantation.
Yep.
And it's the FirstNet, AT&T's FirstNet services,
Right.
just
But
information.
they have a first responders program that is just for first responders. So if it's something that, I mean, I don't know if it's discounted prices or anything, but it might be something that is interested in where we might reimburse them for having it. Because it has to be in their names and it has to prove that they are a first responder. Yes.
Joe, will we end up getting rid of Starlink up there once fire comes in?
I hope so.
Okay,
I hope so.
just curious.
Yeah.
That's all.
Okay, 2006, I think is where I left off, water, increase of $60. Propane at 2010, increase of 110. 2011, increase of $53. There's a decrease in 2503, backhoe maintenance, vehicle maintenance, mostly tobacco. $650 down. Increase in R&M equipment at 2504. Make sure that we have annual compactor maintenance. We years ago were able to tackle this in-house, but with staffing levels, I think our best bet is to have Atlantic Recycling or some contractor come in and help us with this. There's an increase there of 3,100. Money well spent, keep that thing rolling. 3519, which is on 61. Increase in licensing of 110. Increase in tipping fees at 5001. These calculations have all been done on a per ton tip. Rich has got historical data, calculates that out. It's remarkable how close it gets with it, really.
It's great.
Yeah. 5002, 21.
In the 5001, the tipping, are we anticipating, like, if they've already come to us once and wanted us to pay them more money? Are we anticipating that?
Yeah, it's 3% of the contract that's fixed. Yep.
But we're still within contract, so we're gonna get hit when the contract's done.
Yeah, we'll want to be negotiating with them. I think in 24 is when that expires. It might be later. No, I think it is in 24. We'll want to be thinking about that. 5002. This is transportation. Increase there for swap. Per can, I should say. 2187 increase. 5003 tire disposal. Increase of 1100. Decrease in defreonizing at 5005. Down 1,000. Increase in hazardous waste. This is our year to host again. Increase there of 700. The logic there is that some people may not have traveled to Mexico with their cans of material that they may have saved in the shed for this year. Decrease in fluorescent tubes of 1,000 at line 58.
Recycling increase. What's that, Sam? Sorry, the recycling increase that Archie's is 3% increase on 5004. Of 2,200. Or 2,700. Sorry. So you're looking for an explanation for that?
Or
Sam?
no, we just skipped over
Oh,
that.
okay, just, okay. Thank you.
And that has nothing to do with what you call it being down.
Oh, you mean the
Recyclables,
bottle reduction?
Bottles are done, right?
No, this is
Yeah.
cardboard.
Cardboard, yeah.
Oh, paper, plastic. Never ending breaking down boxes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Good catch. Okay. Airport.
Therefore,
Increase in fuel, 1508. Bottom of the page on 63, it's an increase there of 4,600. That's for clearing the runway, running the stone walls and all that stuff. 2005, heating fuel increase there for keeping the SRE building heated. And we don't keep that super warm there. The idea is to keep it 50 degrees, 60 degrees, somewhere in there, so things don't gel up on us. Increase of 2665. Line 3012, 65. Increase in the airport liability insurance of 300. And then 3801, the stormwater permit is no longer active, so that fee is not applied. Savings there, I think of 650. Actually, 320. Yep. Page 66 is Parks and Recreation. This one has something that's a little out of sequence, but I want to run it by because I don't want to miss it as we go through the budget. On the 6th, I plan to bring this to you per the staffing policy. But what the first leg of what I'm thinking about here is having a rekindling of the Parks and Rec position in town, mainly to make sure our programs are where we think they ought to be, and then also make sure our parks and other buildings are getting the attention that they should have. So I've inserted, and this is not a position that's currently listed anywhere or in a union or anything, so I was comfortable plugging this number in here because I think that's about what it's going to take. And there's a second part to this that will come up here in a little while. So, but as far as this goes, I'm plugging it in just to kind of let you see what it would look like from a budget standpoint. So 102 increase of 627 per contract, even though the position is vacant, there's still covered by unions. 102, I already did it. 102. 105 increase in stipends, and this is related to what I said about wanting to make sure our programs are the best they can be. Increase of 1060 in the baseball positions, which is a 105. That's kind of laid out there. One rec director, summer program director, summer rec assistant, one baseball coordinator, etc. Increases, so 0501 FICA increases 4719. That is primarily due to the director position I talked about a minute ago. 0502 health insurance, that's for this position. IPP 0504 rather. 0505 is a decrease to workers' comp. And 0512 is main purse. View the budget, so 9,860. 1508, which is on page 67. Increase of 2945 diesel costs. 1528. 68. This is gasoline, power, equipment, and so forth. Decrease of $50. 2006 is water, due to the rate increase. Increase in R and M buildings at 2501. That's primarily due to having a different company pump out the privy facilities in the closet. We get all kinds of debris, so we have an industrial company handle that now. Decrease in advertising at 3601, which is on page 69. Most of that, the reason for that is most of that is done with Facebook and website, things like that. And then 4702, there's a decrease in the interest of the fire bond of 915. Parks and Rec.
What's the, okay, thank you, paid off in 37. Okay.
Cemeteries. Line 2006 is water, increase there. For rates, there's also been seasonal increase in units used. 2525. Decrease in infrastructure. Last year we did some planning. This year should be all set. Decrease there of 13.5. $73, this is the bookend to what I talked about. Parks and Rec conversation. I don't want to delete this position or do away with it. But I think for this year, we should focus on recreation programs, Parks and Rec portion. Again, this was, I intended to officially bring this to you on the 6th for your consideration of staffing policy, but I didn't want to have too much time to lie. I didn't want to do that and then go back to this. So essentially no, recommending no money in this budget for this year, 0207. In lieu of or in exchange for having someone focused on Parks and Rec, other operating, but Rachel Comfort Station, page 75. Decrease in electricity at line 2002 of 600. Page plus comfort station. Here's the next one. I don't see any changes in that one. Next, we go to page 78. Culture. So this year we had some money in there to work on concepts and designs for the monument. That work is ongoing. The art committee has met with Veterans Committee a couple of times. Brian Pierce has given, I think, one rendering, and there'll be a couple more to come based on feedback they've gotten recently. So I think we can get those. That portion of it done in this year's budget. And then we should have some time prior to the time of construction will begin. But in the operating budget for this year, there's a decrease overall of 9550. So 6001. One of the things that's still pending, obviously the renderings are happening, but we won't have any estimate of probable cost of construction of the monument until the renderings are done at the very least, at the very earliest. There should be some amount of time between when that rendering is complete, between that and when construction will happen. So if it's another year before money is raised for the construction of it, I think we'll be all right.
And may even be longer. I don't want to get off on a tangent, but at the moment, as far as I know, I missed the last meeting, but we need to add names currently to the space we have. If we went, and this is just my opinion, but spend money on construction, we just have a bunch of blank stones until it added, so that I don't believe the intent was to build it, was to have a pay for the plan and get done what we needed to get done. That way, when new board members come in, we're all not there, they know what to do. So we might not be spending 10, I don't see it anytime soon, but having people to put the wall in. I don't speak for the chairperson.
So that's the decrease, or the reason for the decrease is culture. What's next? General assistance, no changes there. Though it has been not a busy year. But we're still, about 75% spent there. Usually it's fall and winter, early the worst. But historically, 2000 has been more than ample. I would recommend that. Donations just by way of compensation, there's a decrease of $4,700. That's on page 83. County tax, we don't have it. Education, right?
I would imagine the county tax is gonna be a lot higher. That's the plan.
So, Commissioner Cotton is willing to come speak with you. I think on the 6th, but I have to check the trace on that. I know he's coming one of those days in February. Let's see, donations, yeah, there's a down total 4,700. That has nothing to do with me. That's just an observation.
They've already have a lot of people already put in, is that the ones you've marked where they've already put in for them?
It's past the due date, it's January 3rd.
Okay,
Yeah, these are what are actually going to be presented.
so which ones can we anticipate coming back saying, oh,
They have all come back except for community concepts, sexual assault prevention, seniors plus, and Western Main transportation.
Those are folks we have not.
Those are at zero.
Those are zero now, yeah.
Yeah, purchases. 3 items really to speak about here in 05801 on page 85. So 4002, I'm asking for funds for the purchase of B plow and setup for a new, actually for the existing blue truck at the sewer plant. So there's the blue one that we do plow on, and then we want to replace the white one at 4004 via a lease, an annual lease with a smaller F-150 or fuel economical F-150. And then at 4007, talking about replacing the furnace at the highway garage. Hopefully we can get that in line for a grant through the AVCOG program. But, if not, we should budget for it. That's $35,000. Capital reserve. Want to go to that page 86? Anything?
Oh, I'm
Rebecca,
sorry.
did you-
so on the vehicle they're looking to purchase for the F-150, is that, what year is that?
It's 2014, I think.
2014. And you know how many miles are on it?
Which one do they want to get rid of? The white one? Yeah.
Is that the one that's parked out here that's
No.
getting covered with snow?
No, it's the one with the service body on it,
Oh.
and the lift gate. one that had the paint problems, since we got it.
Oh, yeah. That was recalled. Paint problem was recalled, right?
Whatever it was. Problem.
So you did, I'm sorry, are you getting the mileage on that stuff?
I don't have it, I'm sorry, I looked, I don't have the mileage for it. I can get it for you.
And then also on the line item for the playground equipment, we're estimating that at 100,000. And there was no money left over, correct, from when, way back when we were first doing the park. Is it that we ran out of money to do the bathroom? The bathhouse? We had set money aside because Mark had called us on it. And we never spent those funds that was voted by the taxpayers
On the playground.
on the playground. Yes.
So you're saying there's money left over from the bathhouse project from 2017?
Well, I don't know what happened, but the voters voted to.
No, but is that the project you're talking about?
Yes.
The one from
yes.
2017 downtown, not
Yeah.
across like that?
No,
Okay.
just the downtown.
If it did get expended, then it would have rolled into your undesignated fund balance into the year, like anything else.
Into the reserve.
No, undesignated fund balance.
Even if someone votes on it for the funds to be spent for something.
We have to
Your
go,
whole operating budget is voted to be spent on something.
Right.
something doesn't roll into reserve, it has to be voted on.
Mhm.
So that's the point Rebecca's making. Definitely rolls into reserve, it has to be allocated.
Just to clarify though, Shelley, you believe that there were funds that were voted to be allocated to a specific
For playground
line item
Yeah,
that was not allocated to that?
that is what we were accused of, yes. And we haven't done any other equipment since, so I bring it up each time we do the budgets.
So I know that, I think in the answer you correct me if I'm wrong, I think $50,000 was put in a couple years ago for playground equipment, but that's reserved, but in your warrant, you know, specifically what it's for, it was a discussion though.
Yeah, it would be discussion, rationale for the amount
Yeah.
to go into reserve. I'm wondering if you're thinking the town park bond, if that money, maybe I'm wrong with this. I thought the intent was originally to revamp that playground within the town park bond, but I think everything kind of creeped up expense wise. It would have been here at that time,
Yeah,
Joe.
bathhouse was 30 or 40% more than we thought. it was
Yeah,
gonna be.
so then, but yeah, I think you're right, Rebecca, I think that the intent was there, but I'd have to go back through.
Okay. I just know that might come up again, that's why I say it each time.
Okay, the quote is 100,000, we don't know the design yet, though.
Right.
We do, Madam Chair, on the playground equipment, there is a proposal or an estimate that Tracy got from her. It's just below 90, I think it's in the mid-80s, but there's some extra money there for installation. The quote does not include installation. This has not been out to RFP, these are budget numbers. The park reserve, we spent a lot of, or will spend a lot of for town dock, which
Yeah.
is why we're recommending considering using the general reserve for this, so we don't fall behind on those projects.
No, my peripheral, so I can be, I see somebody was like.
All set, Shelley?
One more note, Madam Chair, if I could add, the Park Commission did not have, actually, it showed up, I think, a day or two after the last time the Park Commission met. They're going to look at what has been prepared for the playground in the park at their next meeting. And I think they'll be happy with it because it's based on feedback that they had given Tracy or relayed to Eric. So I think we'll get closer to having something to bring to you folks with final approval. I think. What's left? Capital reserve. Covered briefly. Increase is in the downtown, right? 70,000. My rationale there is that 100,000 of that we will be tied up with on the Aquasic Village study until we get reimbursed, and then we'll get $50,000 back to be able to use. I know we want to use around 40 of that for voting facility fund reapplication this spring. And there's 50 in there for replenishing the reserve. Committee is talking about their goals and what they want to present to the board for their goals moving forward. So 70,000 is my recommendation for downtown revitalization.
So there's an increase of in the fire department reserve too, right?
And almost all.
And
Actually, the requests are the same. It's just last year, part of it was transferred from the general reserve. So the requests are all still the same. It's just part of
okay,
each one of those was transferred from the general reserve.
is that the same way with the solid waste? That was like the new line item.
I had increased that. Good question. Knowing that we have scales and other items on the capital plan that we're looking at. Balance in solid waste is a little over 100,000 right now in the reserve, maybe 130 or something like that. Scales are twice that. So I just wanted to make sure we're banking a little bit away, so maybe make some ground on that project in the next 2 or 3 years.
And, oh, sorry, is that the same thing for the fire department reserve as the public works reserve? Because that one also increased.
So I think what Rebecca was trying to say is we took $175,000 out of the general reserve. And so, and divvied it up amongst these, so it's not technically an increase.
Right, I just want to know which ones were included in that because of the increases.
So it was fire department, and
Yep.
somebody correct me if you know I'm wrong. 25,000 fire department, 25,000 public works. Police was fine. Sewer was 25,000, I think.
So
I think it was just those.
Maybe it was just 75.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry, I just wanted to make sure I have my notes.
So just 75,000.
That we moved from last year.
The other, there was, it may, the other amounts raised that was removed, that was transferred from the general reserve may, or the general fund, whichever, may have gone to other offsets, but.
And
I have to check my notes. Yeah.
was the cemetery committee like the one-time thing to increase it to 25,000, or is there something actually that or is that still part of the fixing the rest of the cemetery after clearing that lot, clearing that space and?
So cemetery committee has met with Sebago several times to come up with a capital plan for the cemetery. And this is just to be able to have money in there to start initiating these changes.
Okay. And so the increase in the downtown revitalization to 70,000 is, before it was 25, correct? And that's what you're thinking for the increase for the project in our faucet? Is that the anticipation?
That's part of it, yes.
So is that the same thing that okay, so what the Economic Development Committee was suggesting, is that where that money is to?
Right, I think the other day, the committee had mentioned putting $50,000.
To match the TIF funds to grow it a little bit faster, yeah. Knowing that you've got the deposits of either 5 or 10% for the state to do the sidewalk and faucet.
So we don't, it's a good question to bring up. The study that's going on now at Quasic will hopefully help us get to a point where we know what we want to design. When we get to that point, we'll have to figure out what the design is going to cost.
Right.
So the next step is design, and I don't have a definitive answer on what that's going to cost. I don't know what's going to come out of the study yet. But there's enough money here, I think, to be able to retain an engineer to get that going. And also to be able to apply the Voting Facilities Fund grant next year. Those are two big things I was thinking there. And then also have money in there to match when it comes time for projects, and have any specialty consultants that our EOC may recommend to the board for one-time projects or special projects.
Right, because for the downtown project, the thinking is it's gonna be a lot. Oh, it's gonna cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Rather than have it come out of one lump sum. Okay, thank you.
Anything else on page 86? Very done. Page 87. I'm asking for $500 increase here for the employee appreciation dinner for the folks that do the rap band for it. Nation Health Pride for us. And that's that. Now, one word of caution I'll offer. I know everybody knows it, but on page 88, you can't trust those ending numbers.
Right.
There are a lot of items related to salaries and wages that are not in this. So that's not, and also we don't have relevant education numbers. So this is just the first pass of this that will be refined.
Questions for Joe on numbers? Yes, Shelley.
Okay, so how much funds do we have left in the ARPA, for the ARPA fund? And what do we have in reserves? Because I didn't see that in here, we usually have it.
So reserve,
I'll get you guys.
Okay.
reserve balances. What else, Shelley?
Are you projecting we're gonna be under budget for year end?
In the year we're in?
Yep.
I think so.
Okay.
Yep. We've got some areas that we're gonna be over in, and we touched on them in this budget, fuel, both heating and diesel, R&M vehicles. But we're going to be under, most likely, in some positions that are vacant. So that means financially, we're under the costs of the folks. So I think, yes, I think we will be under. That's significant, some of those positions. Being vacant that long adds up to a lot of money with diesel and other things going on. And I believe, Rebecca's gonna get the audit, but I think that was something that showed from last year's audit. too.
Yeah, because we've been under for a long time, so I just want to make sure we're really realistic about our numbers for this year. I mean, I understand fuel is going up, so, and I also understand electricity is going up. So is that, I mean, is it something we should be looking at for solar panels and stuff like that? I'm just saying, I don't know. If you keep seeing the increases in electricity.
Well, you know, I mean,
On some of those
there's, we had the AdCog presentation just a couple of weeks ago for in Solarwood. As with the, you know, the electric car chargers, I mean, there's a. And I'm not sure about the county ARPA funds and what's available. I mean, I think the next round of applications they're taking is March. So we've got to have a solid discussion about that. Because there are towns that have already applied and
Oh,
they're
yeah.
getting their funds. So we need to take advantage of that. So Joe, with you mentioning the vacant positions, is it, I mean, the fact that it looks like we're gonna be raising money for the positions except for the public works director. So is it the carry forward from this current year that you're thinking is going to offset the amount that will affect the mill rate? Because positions are vacant, we're still raising money for them, except for the, unless I'm missing something here, except for the public services director, correct?
My hope would be to fill all of those vacant positions, yes.
So we're not actually saving money except for that one, and that's the public services director.
Going forward, I think the question, Madam Chair, was about the year that we're in, when we come in under budget.
Yes,
My-
that's, I mean, what are you predicting for the end of this year?
Okay.
To be under budget, to see if there's any funds that we can use to go forward for next year.
I misunderstood the question. Sorry about that.
Oh, it's a good question.
All right, any other questions? All righty. I think we can adjourn. Motion to adjourn? Shelley's motion, and Beth the seconds, all those in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you. Thank you very much, Rebecca. Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.